Hey everyone, welcome to my kit tour. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I play, why I play it, and how I set it up. So let's get started. Alright, so first off, the core of every single one of my drum setups that I use is the Pearl Icon Series 3-sided rack. Now it comes in two options, the straight-sided and the curved-sided, and I chose the straight-sided just because I really like having everything as close as I can. The curved kind of gives you more space, but the straight keeps everything close. Now the cool thing about this rack is that it is sturdy. Like, this thing will hold your drums in place. I've played quite a few different racks on different situations, and there's been times where I've set something up and while I play it, it moves away from me or it slides, because other racks are made like circular, and that just means that things are going to move on you. This rack is square, and so nothing moves, and that's one of the things I really love about this kit. Now, I use the PCX 100 clamps, which are these straight clamps right here. Then I use the PCX 200 clamps for my toms. They're the ones that tilt. And then you also have the PCL 100 clamps that attach to the actual poles of the rack. And so all those kind of used together provide you a lot of options for placing all of your stands, placing all of your drums. And it really is the best rack that I've played on it. It allows me to do everything I need to, and it holds my drums in place while I beat the heck out of them. In addition to my Pearl Icon Series rack, the second most important part of the foundation of my kit would be my Pearl cymbal stands and my Pearl hardware. Now, the actual selection of hardware and cymbal stands that I use has been built up over the past few years, so I don't have one specific type of cymbal stand or one specific model number of actual hardware. But if you were looking to get something sort of like what I use, I could compare it to the Pearl 830 and 930 series that they have now. I currently use a selection of boom cymbal stands and straight cymbal stands depending on what I actually have to put on them. For the most part, on the right side of my kit, I use only straight cymbal stands for rides, splashes, and chinas, but I do have a boom cymbal for my china on the back so that I can adjust it between right above the ride and then back behind the ride depending on whether or not I'm doing ride work. Other than that, I also use the hi-hat stand that allows you to adjust where the foot is positioned, and because of that, it allows me to do a special pedal setup that I'll talk about in a little bit. My favorite thing about using the Pearl Icon Series rack and the Pearl cymbal stands and hardware is that everything works so well together. The Pearl memory locks slide right down into the clamps on all of the different parts of the rack, and then using them in conjunction with the Pearl quick release wing locks, you can actually just snap your cymbals on and off, and everything is just a breeze. It really helps when I take this out for gigs, because otherwise this thing is just a pain to carry around because there's so much stuff. But I'm able to set it up really quickly because I have everything locked down and ready to go. Now, all of that awesome hardware and all of that setup doesn't mean anything unless you have some excellent drums to go on top of it. Now, this right here is my Pearl Export ELX series kit in Ruby Fade, and these drums look absolutely marvelous, and they sound even better than they look. And those are some pretty crazy words, but I'll stand by them. I use a 7-piece kit with 2 additional snares. I usually only use 2 of the snares at one time, and I kind of just add the other one on and off depending on if I need it. Now, my rack toms here, I have a 10 by 8 inch rack tom, a 12 by 10 inch rack tom, and a 13 by 11 inch rack tom. Now, I get the question all the time, why do I set them up in this order, 2, 1, 3? And the reason I do that is because the 8-inch depth on the 10-inch tom allows me to keep all of the toms lower over the bass drum. Because if I had the 10-inch depth tom over the bass drum right here, I'd have to have the toms 2 inches higher. Plus, it also gives you kind of an interesting opportunities for fills. Because you can go 1-2, or you can go from the snare to 2-1, and you have a down series, or you can go up. It really it gives you a lot of options, and I also think it looks really cool as well. Now over here, I have my 2 floor toms. I have a 16-inch by 16-inch floor tom, and I also have an 18-inch by 16-inch floor tom. Now, the 16-inch floor tom is the one that I use all the time, and the 18-inch is one that I use pretty much primarily for accents, and I also use a lot of orchestral style rolls with concert bass mallets and things like that on this one. And this thing is just a cannon. Now, people always ask me why I have a kind of a logo on there, and the logo is in place of any sort of other dampening that I may have. On each of the other drums, I have a Remo O-ring, and it just helps give me that really nice punch tone without too much overtone. I don't really like the drum to go doo and ring for a long time. I like to do 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 do, and so I have a really good short attack. And so I accomplished that on the toms with Remo pinstripe drum heads. I have not found any drum heads that just give a better low-end punch. And these things last forever too, which is really nice because I beat the heck out of them. Also, so onto the snare drums. I have a Pearl 13-inch by 3-inch steel piccolo snare. It's their cheapest piccolo snare, I believe, and I love it. I literally use it almost all of the time, and it actually replaced the Pearl 14-inch by 4.5-inch export series snare that came with the kit. I really like the quick attack of the piccolo, and it just really sounds great in the recordings that I do, so I stick with that one all the time. And I have the Pearl M80 Firecracker snare. And lastly is my kick drum. It's a 22 by 18-inch kick, and I get an incredibly awesome low-end punch out of this thing. So those are my drums. Like I said, a 10, 12, 13, 16, 18 with a 22 on the kick, and then a 13-inch piccolo snare is my main snare. This kit is absolutely incredible. They don't make this exact one anymore. They discontinued the export series for a while, but they actually just brought it back at NAMM 2013 as the new export series. And what's cool about that is these drums are made out of poplar, which is not like the most standard kind of wood for a drum, but what I found is of course it sounds amazing. If you hear my videos, it sounds great. But the new series of export drums that they just put out also have mahogany in them as well. And so I'm really looking forward to checking out those and giving them a try. But if you're interested in a really affordable, really good drum set, the export series has blown me out of the water every single day that I play it. One of my absolute favorite pieces of drum gear that I own are my Pearl Demon Drive pedals. These things are absolutely blazing fast, they're so smooth, and I saved up for a long time for them, and they were worth every single penny. These pedals, like they really let you do what you want with your feet, and what I mean by that is like some pedals that aren't built right hold your feet back. Maybe your feet are faster than your pedal can actually play. I've played on some bass drums pedals before that when I would actually play the way I do on my Demon Drives, it doesn't register, it doesn't play right, and the notes aren't coming out the way that I play them on these pedals. So to me, that's one of the most important parts of your kit are the bass drum pedals, because I mean your hands are what play the drums, but the pedals are what play your kick drum. So you have to have pedals that allow you to do as good playing as your hands do. Now this piece of equipment right here that I've been holding up is the Pearl PS85 double pedal stabilizer. And this thing is actually the answer to your problems if your left foot on pedal on your double pedal is sliding away from you. I had that problem for a long time on my past set of pedals where every time I would start playing hard or whenever I would start playing really fast stuff with my left foot, the pedals would start sliding away from me over and over again. And so throughout the gig I would have to keep pulling them back, and it was no fun. I was like, why can't this be fixed? And sometimes you can put Velcro on the other side of your pedal and stuff, but you're not always on the right type of carpet for that to work. So I started looking around, and I found this right here. Now, like I said, it's the Pearl PS85 double pedal stabilizer, and basically it has these little, well, not little, they're like basically spikes that can go into the carpet that you're playing on, and it just holds your pedal in place. I never have a problem with my pedal moving ever since I got this thing. Alright, now another interesting thing about my setup is that I keep my hi-hat pedal on the inside of my double bass pedal. I like to keep my hi-hat as close to my snare as I possibly can have it, and I also like a wide positioning on my double bass. So what that really means is that you need a hi-hat stand like this Pearl one here that allows you to adjust where the actual hi-hat pedal is. And so I put it up close to this one of the tri-legs here, and then I'm able to slip the double pedal up underneath that leg and then slide it over on the left side. And that allows me to keep my hi-hats nice and close to my snare, and it allows me a lot of room for my legs because I have really long legs. When you have drums that look and sound this good, you want your cymbals to look and sound just as good. And that's why I use these Zildjian cymbals. I use Zildjian A Custom Series cymbals for the crashes, splashes, hi-hat, and ride, and I also use Zildjian's Oriental style cymbals on the Chinas. And so right here I have the 16-inch Zildjian A Custom Projection Crash. I have an 18-inch Zildjian A Custom Projection Crash, and both of these two crashes, I've also had the standard 16-inch and 18-inch A Custom crashes that are just kind of like, if you ask for an A Custom in 16-inch or 18-inch crash, it's like just the standard A Custom, and that's in that size. And I actually tried out the projection crashes, and I really like them. They're nice and loud, and of course they project really well. That's what they're for. I have a 10-inch A Custom Splash over here, and an 8-inch A Custom Splash on this side. Both of them are very musical, and I really enjoy using a lot of different tones in the way that I play, and so that's why I have the two splashes as well as the two Chinas. On the right side I have a 16-inch Oriental trash China and a 12-inch Oriental China on the left-hand side. And so if you notice, the smaller splashes on this side, the bigger splashes on that side, the bigger Chinas on that side, and the smaller Chinas on that side. And the reason I do that is so if I'm playing, say, sort of like a melody in the drum parts that I'm doing, I have a right-left for high-low, and then I have a left-right for high-low, or I have a right-left for high-low, or low-high, and then a left-right for low-high. And so that gives me the options to mix it up, and depending on the sticking I'm playing, put the right hand on a high note, or the right hand on a lower note, and then move up or down from there. Then on the left-hand side here, I've got the 14-inch A Custom hi-hats. They're very crisp, and they have a great sound to them. I really enjoy playing those. And on the right-hand side, I have my 20-inch A Custom medium ride, and it's also an absolutely awesome cymbal. So they sound great in my recordings, and you can check them out in my videos to get a good sound of those as well. So those are my cymbals. Alright, so you've seen the whole setup of my kit. You know how I put everything together. You know the drums I use, the cymbals I use, the hardware I use. But these are the sticks I use. I use Vic Firth, and I've got two different types that I really like to use. The Vic Firth American Classic 5Bs. If I want a lot of sticks for a really good price and I just really want to beat up some sticks, I get these. But if I'm looking for my absolute favorite sticks that I've been playing lately, then I get the Vic Firth Buddy Rich Signatures. Now, I talked about it a little bit before, but I wanted to go ahead and give a run through of the actual drum heads that I have on each type of drum. I use Remo pinstripe clears on all of my toms. So the 10, 12, 13, 16, and 18, all of those have Remo pinstripe clears on them. On the kick drum, I have Remo Power Stroke 3 on the front and on the batter head as well. I just put that new batter on there, and it is sounding awesome. On my snare drums, I use the Remo Weather King Emperor X, and because of the dot that it has on the underside of the head, it lasts for a long time, and it gives it a really good tone, and it's fun to beat the heck out of and still have a good snare drum head. So the last thing that I get a lot of questions about are the microphones that I use to record in my videos. Now, I primarily use Shure microphones. You can get really, really good sound for a pretty affordable price. And an example of that is the Shure PG pack that comes with 3 rack tom or snare mics, the PG52 kick mic, and the PG81 overheads. Now, I'm using the PG56 rack tom / snare tom mics on my rack toms here. I've got one on each of those. Then on my floor tom, I'm using the PG52 kick drum mic that comes with the PG series pack. And for my overheads, I use the PG81 series overheads that come in that PG pack as well. Now, I prefer on the snare drum the Shure SM57. It's basically your go-to mic for snare drums, and that's the one that I added onto this pack to capture my snare, and it sounds absolutely incredible. The floor tom is the only drum that I don't have a Shure mic on, and besides the kick drum, the only tom that I don't have a Shure mic on. And I have the Sennheiser 421, which is like basically industry standard to mic the toms. If you go to a really nice recording studio, they're going to have a Sennheiser 421. And if you can afford to get a lot of them, I would definitely do it because those things sound absolutely phenomenal. I was able to save up and get one for the floor tom, and it really makes a difference in the tone over a standard like rack tom mic. Lastly, in the kick drum, I have an AKG D112, and I prefer it over the sound of the PG52 that comes in the set. That's why I use it. It gives a little bit of a deeper tone, and it really makes that Pearl Export kick shine. It sounds great, captures all the right frequencies, and it gives you a good punch. So that's my kit tour. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check out my other videos if you want to hear all these beautiful drums in action. Get to check out the cymbals, get to check out everything I do, and I hope you enjoy my set as much as I do. Stay tuned, subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.